President Barrow says ECOMIC has been professional and Gambia's history will remember them. Talks on the discarded draft constitution remains unsolved. U.S. Ambassador presents credence to the United Nations.
It needs more funds.
And the United Nations Refugee Agency is calling for more support for South Sudanese refugees. This and more coming on The World Today. I am Abdullah Sise. Good evening and many thanks for joining us on this bulletin of the world today. And now we take a look at the news in details. The ECOMIC mission was deployed in January 2017 to facilitate the exit of former President Yahya Jammeh and restore popular will of the Gambian people as expressed in the 2016 elections. However, the mission keeps extending, and the latest extension will transform the ECOMIC's mandate into a police mission after the December 2021 presidential elections. Meanwhile, the Senegalese contingent were awarded certificates at the State House as they prepare to leave the country after a 6-month stay in the Gambia. Umar Toure has the rest of that story.
The Senegalese contingent leaves after completing their 6-month stay in the country, and President Barrow says they've been professional and their names will remain indelible in Gambia's history.
We will thank your Commander-in-Chief, President Macky Sall. This shows we have a good relationship between us. It shows that when your neighbor has a problem, you should be part of it. That's why you are here to work for the Senegal government. You raise the flag of your country high. This is part of history of the Gambia, and you are part of that history.
Barrow says providing assistance to one's neighbor at a crucial moment is a Senegambian value, and says Senegal and Gambia are from one ancestry and share many things in common.
If your neighbor has a problem and you help him out, that's crucial. And that's what we expect in Senegambia. That what shows we are one people. Those that are honored here today, your names and surnames are also replicated here in the Gambia. So, this shows that the two countries are one.
The President urges the returning troops to continue their professional conduct at home, remain patriotic and exercise patience to help build good legacy. The ECOWAS military intervention in the Gambia, ECOMIC, is an ongoing military intervention. The intervention was launched to resolve a constitutional crisis caused by a disputed presidential election. It began in 2017, and in June 2017, the term of the ECOWAS military mission was extended by a year. The mission has been extended several times since then, and the latest extension is expected to continue through at least 2021. The extension is to safeguard the security environment ahead of the period of uncertainty prior to adopting the constitution and presidential election. For iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmad Toure.
To Egypt now, where authorities are devising measures to resuscitate the country's tourism industry amid the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Like many other sectors, the tourism industry had been adversely affected, but the country's resort city is gradually resuming operations. As the tourist activities return, visitors are also satisfied with measures put in place. More in this report.
The Egyptian resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh is beginning to witness signs of potential slow recovery of tourist numbers this month. This as officials intensify efforts to attract new markets to fill the gap from the key tourist source markets of Russia, UK and Germany, following the collapse caused by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We took action. That's myself, the governor and a number of businessmen who have invested in the Red Sea. We went on a roadshow to Ukraine, Prague and Poland. I went to Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan twice, countries we didn't work with before. We were well received. Then they sent official delegations who loved this place, and afterwards, their tourist groups started flying in.
With the vital tourism industry suffering since the outbreak of the pandemic early last year, hotel owners are not leaving anything to chance and are applying strict anti-COVID-19 health measures to ensure they keep hold of the few tourists visiting the region.
We put very strict standards for the safety and hygiene. Plus, we don't allow any guest to come without the PCR. Plus, we do a lot of PCR tests to our employees. Social distance here is very important, the face mask. So we are doing everything. Meanwhile, we are trying to let the people enjoy their time.
And tourists here say they can feel the effort being put in place to guarantee their safety.
It's amazing, and it's a lot of good experience, and we like this. No, we not afraid COVID, not afraid. In Egypt, in Russia, not afraid.
Amid the reduced tourist inflows, the government has been making use of the low traffic in the city to upgrade its security measures ahead of the return of visitors. New security equipment have been installed in and around Sharm Airport, and more extensive measures have been adopted to ensure a safe holiday for the tourists.
Will be scanned and sanitized before entering. It's completely safe.
In the meantime, several tour agencies and charter airlines from two of the largest markets, the UK and Germany, have begun making preliminary bookings to Egypt starting mid-April through the summer season. The reservations give slim hope of a potential recovery in the second half of 2021.
Now, political party leaders and other stakeholders were in Abuja to continue talks of reviving the draft constitution that was rejected by some parliamentarians back in September of 2020. The delegates arrived at the Banjul International Airport on Thursday after the Abuja negotiations failed to yield any positive outcome. Binta Jallo files in this report.
The meeting was part of a mediation process brokered by former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan to get the stakeholders to agree on the draft constitution, which was voted down in the National Assembly last September. All the parties that traveled to Nigeria, with the exception of the UDP, agreed that the retroactive clause be removed from the draft, as it is believed to be unlawful and intended to target one person. The Minister of Justice, Dauda Jallo, says he hoped that the country's political leaders would reach a consensus on the retroactivity of the president's first term when they meet Goodluck Jonathan in Banjul.
It's a negotiation. I cannot be saying that I am sure, okay? Because I'm not a participant myself. So it's between among them. But of course, yes, the spirit is high, and they are all participating in good faith. I have a lot of hope, yes. In 2 weeks' time, when we have our last round in Banjul, I'm expecting that something positive will come out of it.
Dr. Ismail Sise of Citizens Alliance Party outlined their stance on the ongoing negotiation.
The position of is very simple, that a political compromise is needed for us to get a constitution. Politics is about compromise. At some point, you have to meet halfway through to find political ground. Our position is very clear, and I'm going to repeat it here, that, and I've said it in a meeting with His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, that CA is ready to compromise on the retroactivity if we are guaranteed that there will be a new constitution with three things. What are those three things? A term limit, 50+1, and the quota system. If we are guaranteed these three things in a new constitution before elections, then we are ready to discuss the issue of the retroactivity.
President Adama Barrow's National People's Party was also represented by the party's Administrative Secretary Mamajik Njai, who says there is a hope for an agreement despite UDP's concerns on the negotiation.
There has been a stalemate. We would have loved to come back to this country to announce to the Gambian people that we have reached an agreement, but unfortunately that couldn't happen. Because I can tell you that in relation to the retroactive clause in the Constitution, all the parties that were in the negotiations agreed and accepted that it should be expunged from the draft, except the UDP. And we respect their position. They have gave reasons why they believe that the retroactive clause should be there. And it's still negotiations. We are not giving up. President Goodluck Jonathan is coming back to the country to proceed with the negotiations on the 8th of March, and we hope that by the time he gets here, we'll be able to reach a consensus.
The parties also agreed on other changes in the draft ranging from confirmation of ministers and judges by the National Assembly. They also agreed that the Inspector General of Police and the Secretary General not being answerable to the President. But the UDP leader argues that the Ministry of Justice cannot and should not incorporate the changes into the draft. He said the minister should present the defeated draft in its original form and allow parliamentarians to effect the changes. The planned March trip would be Jonathan's third visit to Banjul since December 2020 to support the process of building national consensus. Reporting for Africa TV, Binta Jallow.
In other news, the new Portuguese ambassador to the Gambia, Victor Paul da Costa Serrano, on Thursday handed his letters of credence to President Adama Barrow. The president praised the existing ties between the two countries, while encouraging new initiatives that could create opportunities for the citizens of both countries. Amindao has more details.
President Adama Barrow welcomes Ambassador Victor Paul da Costa Serrano after presenting his letter of credence to the Gambian leader. The bilateral relationship between Lisbon and Banjul have been cordial, which the incoming ambassador hopes to widen in different areas of cooperation. President Barrow also lauded the cordial ties between the two countries, especially at the European Union and United Nations levels. Shortly after his meeting with the president, the new ambassador told the press that the cooperation between the two countries will be further developed.
In an increasing and challenging environment, where the fight human security issues in all domains demand a comprehensive and coordinated approach, we, Portugal, we appreciate all the efforts the government of Gambia has been putting in place to fight and control the COVID-19 pandemic. This is, for us, a worldwide effort, and vaccine equity is, in our view, ultimately about human rights. Vaccines must be a global public good, accessible and affordable for all.
The Portuguese envoy also commended Gambia's effort in combating and managing the COVID-19 pandemic.
It is clear that effective multilateralism remains at the heart of the Gambia's foreign policy, and this is a clear common point of view with the Portuguese geopolitical viewpoint. There are, from today on, a number of areas where bilateral relations between our two countries be further developed. From technology to agriculture and tourism, but special to blue and green economy and maritime security.
Ambassador Serrano also outlined his country's initiative to organize seminars on blue and green energy that might interest the civil society and institutions in the Gambia. He encourages the Gambian authorities to join the Atlantic Center initiative, which according to him could be beneficial to both countries. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
The United Nations Refugee Agency is calling for more support for South Sudanese refugees who are returning from neighboring countries, including Sudan. The East African country has been engulfed in a civil war since gaining independence from the South in 2011. And according to the UNHCR, more than 2 million South Sudanese refugees are in South African countries, while other 8 million face food scarcity in the country. Details in this report.
The UNHCR says the returnees mainly come from South Sudan's neighboring countries such as Sudan, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Kenya. Many are coming back to find their houses destroyed by the 6 years of civil war. The UNHCR says it needs more funds to build livelihoods for the returnees. The UN Refugee Agency says it also faces a challenge of how to ensure the spread of the coronavirus is controlled among the refugees and the returnees. China is donating $2 million to UNHCR in South Sudan, Tanzania, and Kenya to respond to the threat posed by the virus.
Through China's assistance, we at UNHCR have been able to ensure that refugees and others have been provided with face masks, that we have isolation units in the hospitals, and that we are also able to sensitize the populations on sanitary measures.
Flooding and locusts in parts of the country destroyed crops that some of the returnees planted. The UN now says 8.3 million South Sudanese people are food insecure. The UNHCR says there are 2.2 million South Sudanese refugees in East African countries. The UN is urging South Sudan's government to bring lasting peace to the country to allow more refugees to come back home.
And with that story, we go with a very short break. We'll be right back.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back after that short break. We reminded you are watching the World Today news on iAfrica TV. The European Union governments are counting on speedy vaccination for their population against the COVID-19. The Union's Commission President von der Leyen is certain that they will reach the 70% target of the population by the end of this summer. More of that in this report.
The development and distribution of an effective and safe vaccine against COVID-19 represents a lasting response to the pandemic. The European Union has set a target to vaccinate at least 70% of its population as well as health and social care professionals by the end of summer. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, says on Thursday that EU are sure that they will reach their target goal in vaccinating 70% of the EU's adult population.
We are confident that we are able to reach our goal that at the end of the summer we will have offered to 70% of the population the vaccination, the adult population. These are 255 million people in the European Union, and if we look at the planned figures, this is a goal that we are confident we'll reach.
Von der Leyen encourages citizens not to relax efforts in combating the virus, especially in this trying time. The European Commission President also says EU is allowing exports of COVID-19 vaccines, but says US and UK have systems in place to block it. Meanwhile, the President of European Council, Charles Michel, says their top priority is to hasten the delivery of vaccines across European Union.
Our top priority now is speeding up the production and delivery of vaccines and vaccinations across the European Union. And that's why we support the Commission's efforts to work with industry to identify bottlenecks, guarantee supply chains and scale up production. And we want more predictability and transparency to ensure that pharmaceutical companies comply with their commitments.
The European Union is a political and economic union of 27 member states that are primarily located in Europe.
EU leaders are particularly worried about the new COVID-19 variants, which are believed to be more infectious and have already been identified in countries across Europe. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Now, former President Yahya Jammeh's government blatantly denied receiving West African migrants in the country. Mr. Jibril Ngor Seka, who testified at the Truth Commission on Thursday, provided a list to the commission bearing names and identities of the migrants. Umar Toure files in this report.
Jibril Ngor Seka was director of operations at the defunct National Intelligence Agency (NIA) when the West African migrants were apprehended at Bara in 2005. Seka is considered a God-sent angel at TRRC when he provides the commission with a list bearing names and nationalities of the disappeared migrants. The commission asked him to read out the list.
This looks like Odzei Odro Kousi.
From which country?
Togo list. But there is an X. I don't know what that means.
All right, proceed.
Luca Esperant, Congolese. Suleiman Abdullahi, Ghanaian. Bright Antway, Ghanaian. Kwaku Amtui Ajiekun, Ghanaian. Kasim Amadou, Ghanaian. Kwaku Apia, Ghanaian. Benjamin
Kobna,
Ghanaian. Nketia Eric, Ghanaian. Kwadwo Amadou or Ampadu, Ghanaian. Richard Bokie, Ghanaian. Edmond Kumi, Ghanaian. Peter Asiri, Ghanaian. Kwadgo Antwi, Ghanaian. Kierer Martin, Ghanaian.
Martin Kere, a Ghanaian, was the sole survivor of this incident. These migrants were detained in different detention centers before their disappearance. The 8 migrants kept at Karava police station disappeared, but in 2005, 8 bodies were found on Brufut Beach, and Ngor Seka and the team visited the scene. He now gives recollection of the incident.
I think when I was still in Brufut, the head of counter-espionage called me and said he is at the Kairaba, but he was told that a particular sergeant received 8 people from the group. Immediately he told me that. Looking at the corpses, I concluded for some reason that this may be the same group that was removed from the Kairaba.
The paramilitary hit squad, the Junglers, confessed to the murders of migrants on orders of Jammeh. Usman Jallo testified that he received the migrants and got them registered. Now, Jibril Ngor Seka provides the list of West African migrants to the Commission. The chain of events leading to the killings of these people will soon be clear as revelations continue to unfold at the Truth Commission. For iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmad Toure.
Mr. Jibril Ngor Seka giving his testimony before the Truth Commission. In other news, the COVID-19 vaccination campaign have kicked off across the globe, and many developed countries are busy vaccinating their populations. Senegal, a country in West Africa, commits to buying Russian vaccine to vaccinate its people. DCC files in this report.
Senegalese Health Minister Abdoulaye Diouf Sarr says they are negotiating with Russia to buy the Sputnik vaccine after receiving the COVID-19 vaccine Sinopharm from China. Senior government officials and healthcare workers were the first to have been given the first jam of the vaccine. Senegal is one of the 7 countries among the 54 countries of the African continent to start the vaccination against COVID-19. The West African nation received 200,000 doses of China's COVID-19 vaccine, which is equivalent to about $3.8 million. Senegal is also expecting to get nearly 1.3 3 million vaccine doses in March through the World Health Organization's COVAX initiative. The country plans to donate doses of the Sinopharm vaccines to neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau and Gambia. According to the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, as of Tuesday, Senegal has registered more than 33,000 cases of COVID-19 and 814 deaths. Many countries around the globe have ordered the Sputnik vaccine, according to the Russian Investment Fund. The Sputnik vaccine is said to work in a similar way to the AstraZeneca vaccine developed in the UK and the Janssen vaccine developed in Belgium. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
The newly appointed United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, has presented his letters of credence to the Secretary General of the United Nations. Ambassador Linda is the 31st ambassador to the United States and says America and diplomacy is back and they're ready to start work. Maria Macham tells us more.
Linda Thomas-Greenfield replaces Richard Merrill Mills Jr., an American diplomat who was acting as the United States Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations until the swearing-in of the current ambassador. He previously served as the U.S. Charge d'Affaires for Canada. The 59-year-old ambassador served as the United Nations Assistant Secretary General of State for African Affairs from 2013 to 2017. After presenting her letters of credence, Ambassador Linda describes the United Nations as the most important forum to bring world peace.
That diplomacy is about showing compassion, it's about managing points of differentiation, and it's about bringing people together. The United Nations is the world's most important forum for bringing people and countries together, and I take that seriously as a U.S. diplomat.
Ambassador Linda also recognized the challenges in her new role at the United Nations to help alleviate human rights and to address conflicts around the world. She says there is a strong hope of working with their allies and partners to collectively attain the desired results.
We're clear-eyed about the difficult work that needs to be done, from elevating human rights to reforming the UN itself to addressing conflicts old and new around the world. And we look forward to engaging our allies and our partners to get it done. After all, we're stronger when we are working together. But in the meantime, I'll repeat what I said when I first was nominated by the President for this honor. What I said is multilateralism is back, and diplomacy is back, and America is back, and we're ready to get to work.
The 59-year-old Linda Thomas-Greenfield is the 31st U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. She is also a career diplomat who has served as an ambassador in Africa and also played an important role in getting the United States to support the democratic process in Nigeria and other African countries. Reporting for iAfrica News, this is Mariama Cham.
And with that, viewers, we come to the end of this news bulletin of the world today. Many thanks for watching and have a lovely weekend ahead.